You walk through a quiet street in Stockholm on a cold morning, and something feels strange. People look calm. Cafes are full. No rush. No panic. And that's when the question hits you. How are they so relaxed in some of the most expensive countries on Earth? This is the unique way Scandinavians save money and still live well, and it begins with a mystery most people miss. Taxes are high. Rent isn't cheap. Groceries cost more than you expect. Yet somehow, people here save consistently and still enjoy life. No loud luxury. No constant upgrades. No financial anxiety written on their faces. So, what do they know that you don't? What invisible rule are they following while the rest of the world feels trapped between earning more and enjoying less? Stay with me because the answer isn't about money at all. Let's be honest. Saving money feels harder than it should. You try to do the right thing. You earn, you plan, you even cut back sometimes. Yet the stress never really leaves. Every month feels like a reset button. Bills come in, prices rise, and suddenly saving feels like punishment instead of progress. The real problem isn't that you are bad with money. It's that the world around you quietly pushes you to spend more just to feel normal. Bigger homes, faster phones, better-looking lives online. You're told that comfort must be visible and success must be loud. So even when your income grows, peace doesn't follow. This creates a hidden fear. You save, but you don't feel safe. You spend, but you don't feel satisfied. Money becomes something you manage, not something that supports your life. That tension is exhausting, and it makes saving feel like sacrifice, not freedom. Scandinavians noticed this tension long ago and chose a very different path. There's a cost most people never calculate. It's not on your bank statement, but you feel it every day. Mental load, the constant thinking, choosing, comparing, upgrading. What to buy next, what you're missing, what others have. In Scandinavia, people quietly reduce this load. Fewer options, fewer signals telling them they're behind. When your mind is calmer, your money follows. Saving becomes easier not because you earn more, but because you think less about what you're supposed to want. To understand their mindset, you have to go back hundreds of years. Scandinavia was never a land of excess. Long winters, limited resources, and small communities shaped how people survived. Planning ahead wasn't optional. It was life-saving. Waste had consequences. Showing off made little sense when everyone depended on each other. Over time, this created a quiet social rule. Don't take more than you need, and don't pretend to be more than you are. In places like Sweden, Denmark, and Norway, this became part of daily life. Not as a law, but as a shared understanding. When modern wealth arrived, the mindset didn't disappear. It adapted. Instead of chasing status, people learned to value stability, balance, and trust in the system. Saving money wasn't about fear of losing, it was about respecting the future. And that belief still shapes how Scandinavians live today. They don't save money the way you think. Here's where everything changes. Scandinavians don't wake up thinking about saving money. They don't track every small expense or feel guilty over enjoying life. Instead, they design life so overspending rarely shows up in the first place. That's the shift most people miss. They buy fewer things, but they buy better ones. Clothes are simple, repeatable, and built to last. Homes are functional, not oversized. Cars are useful, not status symbols. The goal isn't to impress, it's to remove noise. Fewer choices mean fewer temptations. And fewer temptations mean fewer regrets. This turns saving into something automatic, not emotional, not stressful. Money stays in the account because there's no constant pressure to prove success. Spending becomes intentional, not reactive. Now ask yourself this. How much of your spending is about enjoyment, and how much is about keeping up? When saving feels hard, it's often because life is designed around spending. Scandinavians flipped that design. They didn't learn discipline, they redesigned the system around calm. There's another reason this works so well, and it's not talked about enough. Scandinavian societies quietly remove many of the fears that drive overspending elsewhere. Healthcare is accessible. Education doesn't bury you in debt. Public transport actually works. Childcare is supported. Retirement isn't a mystery. Because of this, people don't feel the need to protect themselves with constant extra spending or emergency hoarding. When the future feels predictable, money decisions become calmer. You don't buy things to feel secure. you already feel secure. This doesn't mean people rely blindly on the system. It means the system lowers stress. And lower stress changes behavior. People plan longer term. They save steadily instead of desperately. They invest in stability instead of quick comfort. In recent years, especially after global uncertainty and rising living costs, this model has stood out even more. While many parts of the world react with panic spending or burnout, Scandinavians lean into structure. Society does half the work, so individuals don't have to carry all the fear alone. Let me tell you about someone ordinary, not a millionaire, not an influencer. Just a regular person living in Aarhus, Denmark. Let's call her Anna. She works a normal job, earns a comfortable but not impressive income, and lives in a modest apartment close to her workplace. Anna rides her bike to work, even in cold weather, not to save money on purpose, but because it's normal. She brings lunch from home most days. Her clothes repeat. Her phone is a few years old. From the outside, nothing about her life looks aspirational. But here's what surprises people. Anna has savings. She takes real vacations. She finishes work on time. She sleeps well. Money isn't the loudest voice in her life. She doesn't feel poor. She doesn't feel behind. And she doesn't feel the need to prove anything. Her wealth is quiet. And that quietness is the point. This is what financial comfort looks like when it isn't performed for an audience. The real secret. They invest in life, not status. This is the part most people misunderstand. Scandinavians don't avoid spending. They just spend on different things. Instead of chasing status, they invest in life itself. Time, health, relationships, peace of mind. Money goes toward homes that feel safe, not impressive. Toward holidays that restore energy, not signal success. Toward hobbies, nature, and shared moments. These purchases don't shout, but they last longer emotionally. Psychology backs this up. Status fades fast. You adjust, compare, and want more. But experiences grow in value. A calm routine, a trusted community, a predictable life. These compound quietly. And because the reward is internal, there's no rush to upgrade. Ask yourself this honestly. What are you buying when you spend money? Approval? Comfort? Escape? Scandinavians ask a different question. Will this make life feel better tomorrow, not just today? That single question changes everything. When money serves life, saving stops feeling like sacrifice and starts feeling like self-respect. You don't need to live in Scandinavia to think like a Scandinavian. The shift starts small, and it's more about design than discipline. Instead of fighting spending every month, reduce the number of decisions that invite it. Fewer clothes you truly like. Fewer subscriptions you barely use. Fewer upgrades that promise happiness but deliver stress. Create calm defaults. Automate saving before money reaches your hands. Choose quality once, so you don't replace things often. Protect your time as carefully as your income. When life feels less rushed, spending naturally slows down. Most importantly, stop measuring progress by how visible it is. Quiet stability doesn't get likes, but it gives you sleep, flexibility, and confidence. You don't need more money to start living this way. You need clearer rules about what actually improves your life and the courage to ignore the rest. Here's the real reason this approach feels unfamiliar. Most of the world is taught to chase more. More income, more comfort, more proof of success. Scandinavians protect enough. They don't see calm as boring. They see it as the reward. When enough is clearly defined, money stops pulling you in every direction. Decisions get easier. Anxiety fades. Saving becomes a side effect, not a struggle. This isn't about being minimal or frugal. It's about being intentional. The moment you stop trying to impress the future version of someone else, money finally starts working for your future self. So, here's the quiet invitation. You don't have to live louder to live better. You don't need a perfect system, a massive income, or a dramatic lifestyle change. What you need is clarity. Clarity about what enough looks like for you. The Scandinavian lesson isn't about cold weather or high taxes. It's about choosing a life that feels steady instead of stressful. A life where money supports your days, not controls them. Where saving feels like relief, not restriction. You are allowed to step off the endless upgrade cycle. You are allowed to want peace more than applause. And you are allowed to build a future that feels calm on the inside, even if it looks simple on the outside. Because in the end, living well isn't about having more. It's about needing less, and finally feeling free.